What is up, you guys? This one might piss some people off. The reason I'm so is because this topic has been sitting on my heart for probably a couple of months. It's something that is very, very present in our society right now. Healing is becoming cringy. Let me just preface this video by saying that the purpose of you being in this world, in Earth, is for you to heal and find yourself and grow and evolve and build a life for yourself, right? So anybody that is on a true healing journey, I think you are so strong. Such a beautiful thing, because it is the hardest thing to do, to want to face your darkest shit. The reason why I feel like it's so important for me to make this video is because I'm seeing a lot of fakeness starting to come out through this whole topic of healing. And also because I feel like it can be kind of damaging to people and their own healing journeys. During quarantine, we saw a surge on self-love, healing your traumas, triggers. This is when all these words started coming out, right? Triggered, gaslighting, whatever, all these therapy words, trauma bonds, all this stuff, right? And we saw a huge jump on people starting to do therapy, and it makes sense, especially with TikTok. It was such a driving force on topics about healing, why you might be acting the way you're acting, how your trauma might be affecting you, why you might be attracted to these guys that trigger you, and why your family affected this way, and this and this and this and that. Really, we're kind of the first generation that started shining light on all these topics, and it kind of shined a light on a path forward, right? I think it created a lot of positive change and brought topics to the surface that has been needed to be addressed. But like anything that becomes huge on TikTok, I think it has gotten to a point where healing and self-love and all this stuff just started becoming trendy and glorified. I'm not judging anybody for it. Let me say, first of all, I have been there. This is something that I've very recently also had to check myself with, because it's all so new and we're all just trying to learn, grow, and adopt such a new idea that it's easy to kind of start copying things and adopting things, making it your own truth. I'm starting to see this pattern in interactions that I've had, interactions amongst friends, even hearing this from other friends and interactions that they're having, that is starting to become a problem. And it's this therapy talk. We're wanting to kind of make the right steps, approach things the right way, say the right things. Some of these things that we would see on TikTok, this is how you should approach it. This is what you should say. Just like our parents were believing everything that we saw on Facebook, we're starting to become the generation where we're believing everything that we're seeing on TikTok. And this goes beyond just this topic. Advice and things that I see on TikTok sometimes, it drives me crazy. Dating advice, fitness advice, sprinkle, all this shit, right? Sometimes these things are being taken way too literal. I will see some things on TikTok where I know, having a fitness background, whatever, what they're saying isn't real, but the way it's presented is so factual that people are running with it, and it's creating a lot of damage. But I digress. We're all trying to just figure it out. I get it. But this problem that I'm starting to see is starting to create so many disingenuous conversation where it feels robotic. And dare I say, manipulative? Sometimes, because we're trying to approach something too perfectly, too healed, it's coming off strategic and planned. Even I've done this. I also have recently kind of had these conversations where I thought I was showing up all mature and grown and healed, and this is, look at what I've just learned in therapy, and look at what I just learned through TikTok, and and approaching it with that mindset. The point I'm trying to make, I wasn't being myself. I wasn't speaking as myself with the vocabulary that I have, with the way that I speak, with the attitude that I have. And I'm not saying that I should just come in and speak as the older version of myself. Had I come into a situation with an older version of myself, I would not be very nice. I would not be very considerate. I would not be very approachable. But I'm saying, just speaking as myself, as in imperfectly. And if I'm feeling insecure in that moment, sounding insecure, just not sounding perfect. Is that making sense? My intuition, I can smell bullshit from a mile away, okay? I might not say it to your face, but I can. When people talk to me like that, and when I've had conflict with someone, when I know that they're not talking as themselves and just talking to me like how you would talk to me on an everyday basis, even though we might have addressed the topic that needed to be addressed in that moment, I leave a conversation like that feeling what just happened? Because people can feel that energy. People can feel when you're being yourself or not. Sometimes I think just for the sake of being right, just for the sake of being PC, sometimes we're so careful in the way that we approach certain things that, like I said, it just comes off fake. It can take away from that true one-on-one feeling and connection that you can have with a person, where your unique qualities of yourself. Show up to address that situation however you too specifically might need to. Imperfections and all. When I'm saying all this, please, discernment. I'm not saying that you should show up raised voices, wanting to throw hands and da da da. It's like this need to all of a sudden talk like an adult. You know what I mean? I feel like this culture of healing, it's almost like creating this blueprint of how conversations should go. And this blueprint, I think, can be so damaging sometimes. When these things are taken too literal, it can make people who maybe aren't seeing these content or might not be on a healing journey where you are. If you approach with all this, like, look at all my vocabulary and look at all of this thing that I've learned and the way that I'm speaking or whatever the fuck, I don't know how people think. It can make the other person feel like they're not doing something right. In my mind, I'm like, do you just not feel comfortable with me that you feel the need to talk to me like that? This puts more question in my soul. And it just kind of makes me feel like if I approach you with something and I now have a conflict with you, are you gonna take it a certain way because I'm not coming at you as like this therapist and da 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 da. Like, I get it. Sometimes you need that support. Sometimes you need to just adopt what you learned. And we all go through this phase. Just because someone is saying that something is true and that this is the right way to do it and this is the right way to approach something, it doesn't mean that that's right. Yes, the idea of what the person is saying and the idea of that topic might be true. Being considerate of how you're coming across. Your triggers, your reaction to things are your responsibility, and how you choose to approach somebody is your responsibility. Like, those things I understand. Be gentle, but be firm on your boundaries. Know how to communicate your feelings, but speak as yourself. Stumble, stutter, sound insecure, be confused. Be yourself. Be honest and be vulnerable and be willing to show up to a conversation being perceived and not being perfect, because that's just how you might be feeling in that moment. You don't need to sound like a fucking MLA formatted essay. You get what I'm trying to say? I don't know. Let me know what you think.